Hi, I'm Hayley Barnhill,
And I'm Rinaldi.
and welcome to the NGP Trials and Tribulations series. Gia, tell us about your WEF and your takeaways from this winter.
It was a good winter. It was very much a learning circuit for me. Started my own business just shortly before moving over here in November. Got a nice group of horses to bring over from Europe, then made my way over. And it was just really a whole learning process, kind of figuring out the steps of everything and how to achieve what I was looking to. That's was a little bit my goals for the circuit, was just to learn and do better for the next time. And then I would love to know what your thoughts about your circuit was.
Yeah, I had a very good circuit as well. I started my own business about a year and a half ago, so it's still new. I had a group of young horses that I've been developing, and I was kind of gearing them towards the 7-year-old final at the end of WEF, and they both performed really well. I also had a group of new clients, so I've been trying to figure out how to juggle that between a few different barns. So I've learned a lot as well, trying to, balance having the clients and also training the horses to go the best they can.
Yeah, it's all a balancing act, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Figuring out where you need to be and the best use of your time.
Yes, exactly. I'm very excited to start working with NGP as well.
And your plans for this summer, where do you go after this?
I'm based in Kentucky, so I'll go probably around the 25th of this month and do the spring shows there. And then I'm going to do Upperville and Michigan as well, but mostly based out of Kentucky. What about you?
So I stay here until the end of this month, and then I actually leave to Europe this week to go visit for 10 days. See if I can find some new superstars out there. Yeah. And then I head to New York, around Brewster area, and then stay in that area for about 2 months because it's actually my first time staying there in the summertime. I'm from Chicago, so I always spent my summers there. So it's very much a new setting for me, but I'm looking forward to it. So I thought I'll do Old Salem, hit Saugerties, Lake Placid, those kind of shows, and then make my way to Traverse City the last 2 weeks of July. Okay. And then kind of see where my horses are at from there.
Yeah. What have you taken away from our sessions with Bob Rotella and Guy, the course designer?
I love them. They're so informational and educational, and just the way that their minds work and the way that they can try to teach people. Bob is a genius at his work, and just trying to see things from a different perspective and just always learning, constantly trying to better yourself. And then with Guy, it was so cool to hear his perspective, because I've seen a million of his course designs and was always curious to hear the brains behind the masterwork.
Yeah.
And your thoughts? What was your thoughts about
I thought
that?
the same too, and especially even walking courses since that, I've been like, okay, they're using these cups here, and kind of seeing things that you might not have noticed before that you can help put into your training.
Whether it's different shadows in a night class or different colors on a wall.
Exactly.
It was so cool that we got a whole slideshow presentation.
Yeah, that was amazing.
He really did a great job. And then now it's also nice to make the connection. So then whenever I see him in a course walk, I feel like I can now go up to him and feel like
if you have any questions or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. What have you thought are some differences between the U.S. shows and being over in Europe? I know both of us spent a lot of time, you probably even more than me, in Europe.
It's different. It's a whole different world out there. And, you go to these shows, and it's almost every show that you go to is international. So it feels a little bit more pressured always to get results. It's a lot about producing horses out there, but at the same time, you want to go there, and when you have some nice older horses, you want to go and win. The competition is really, really stiff out there. Even when you go jump two star, you're racing to the finish every time. Everybody's so competitive out there, and you can just learn a lot as well, even just by watching everybody how they work on the ground and the warm-ups and stuff like this. And then in America, I feel like it's a lot more client-based. So, people are in Europe, I find more are focusing on themselves with their horses and what they need to do to get their best results, but out here, it's very client-oriented. So, you're juggling not only trying to perform yourself, but also trying to get the best performance out of your students. So, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
And where was your favorite show that you think that you went to out there?
I would say maybe Shanti.
That was one of my picks as
Yeah.
well. I did that one 2-3 years ago, maybe, and I loved it.
I loved it.
With the
It was
castle in the
gorgeous.
back and the grass field. It
Yeah.
rides really well. Also.
It does. It does. I would say we don't have so many grass fields like that anymore that still have the hill, and it takes a bit of riding.
Yeah, because it feels almost very old school show. Almost a little bit kind of like Hickstead and Dublin and those types of shows.
Exactly.
Just because of the history behind it.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah.
And where did you base when you were out there?
I did 2 years in Belgium at Eric Lamaze's stable, and then in Holland, right next to Peelbergen, with Nick and Laura. And that was nice too, because we could even go on like Tuesdays for training days and jump a whole course in the show ring.
I did that all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good preparation. And
Yeah.
That's also a good point you bring up there, because out here I feel like there's a lot of more lack of training competitions to go to, and an actual, show ring, and then you have actual courses that have nice designs, and then normal show jumps and stuff. I feel like when you go outside of Wellington and other states, for example, correct me if I'm wrong, but I find it's quite hard to actually go training outside of your own property.
It's very hard.
It's very limited, and everything's so spread out here,
Exactly.
Out there, everything is very much its own little bubble and own little world, especially in the area of Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. There's so many different options to go to. You can go training nearly every day if you want, in every country around you. But out here, it's very different. That's why I think it's also a little bit harder to produce horses out here, especially the younger ones, because they don't get to see as many different settings as they
Exactly. That's where I've been trying to develop my young horses here, and it costs a lot of money, and there aren't those sort of training events. So you're bringing them to the shows, and maybe here at least you can train on Tuesdays in the ring, but a lot of shows in the summers, they don't have that.
No, they don't have it. And also just different settings as well, whether it's grass or really big sand rings or small ones, because then sometimes those types of classes are pushed into a little bit the back rings,
Yes.
So then the horses, I find, don't get so much of a change in scenery.
Yes, exactly.
So it's nice that they do it here in Wellington, the big kind of final week of the young horses and stuff. They start to put in the big ring, and it's a nice goal, I think, like you had with your horses, for example.
Exactly. I think so too. Yeah, and so you have a lot of younger horses now, or kind of a mixture of younger ones and some jumping bigger classes?
I have a little bit of a mix. So I actually just got a new 6-year-old from NGP.
Yes. Tell us about that one.
Which I'm very excited about. I think she's going to be a secret little weapon and a secret superstar for the future. So I'm very excited about her. She has such a good mindset, does everything incredibly easy. Just a really cool horse to have around the stable, and because she does everything so easily, I think in the end that'll take her very far, because her brain is probably one of the best things about her as well. So all the ability, I think really highly of the horse. I think everybody in the team does as well. So
that's really exciting.
So I have her, which I'm going to start getting going for the summer, and then I have 2 very nice 8-year-olds as well, that I'm looking forward to. A good summer for them. They'll start to move up a little bit, jump some ranking classes, I think, towards the middle of summer. That's kind of my goal for them. Then I have a few other older horses to jump a little bit bigger classes on, 1 9, 1 10-year-old. Those ones keep me a little bit in more the ranking type of classes, so I'm lucky to have those ones. And then hopefully getting another 1 or 2 from Europe for the summertime. So
great.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And how about yourself? What's your string look like?
I have mostly young horses. I have 2 very nice 7-year-olds. One that's a homebred.
How cool is that?
Yeah, it's been a really fun journey with him. And I have another 4 and 5-year-old that are homebreds. that will start kind of gearing up a little bit more. So that's been fun. And I have a few, like one older horse that could jump some national Grand Prix. And then I have a mix of hunters, some hunter derby horses. And, but yeah, still kind of looking for those horses that I could do in the ranking classes and get back into doing that.
Yeah. And I think you've set yourself up well, though, now also being part of NGP to hopefully be able to get those opportunities maybe that you wouldn't have with
exactly.
How did you come up through all three rings that gave you kind of a complete system of riding? I know you did a lot of equitation and hunters growing up as well.
I think we had sort of similar. I grew up in the Midwest too. I'm from Tennessee. And then when I was probably 15, I met Tom Wright, and he brought me down to Wellington, and there I started riding with Tim and Kelly Gogan, and he set me up with Missy Clark in the equitation. So I kind of had I had help in all the rings, and I think it really taught you how to ride different horses, and the pressure from the equitation I think still like carries over to what we're doing today.
100%.
To ride in those finals, it's the same kind of pressure that being on a team and all that does. And I always found I've like rose to the occasion with the pressure. I liked it a little bit, and I think that still carries over till today.
Yeah, it's very good quality to have that, though, because the way you handle pressure, I think, says a lot about how you act and ride in the ring as well. So
yeah,
it's definitely a good quality to have. And then, because you did a lot of the big equitation finals as well, how do you think that shapes your approach today? I mean, we already covered it a little bit, but maybe take me a little bit behind the scenes of the work that you maybe did for a big final like that.
Yeah, I think you had to have so much discipline to get ready for those finals. I think, and I loved that. I loved the riding in the ring, all the lessons, everything that you had to put into it. I loved, and then you felt so prepared. You didn't really have nerves because you knew that you've done all the work to do it. And I think still today, if you put in all the work, you know you've practiced everything, it helps you to get in a good headspace before you show. Yeah, you're competing on some top older horses and younger horses. What are your thoughts on building a string that's not just successful now, but also sustainable for the long term?
You know, I think if you actually look at a lot of the top combinations in the 5-star world, you know, a lot of them have bought and produced the horses from a young age. So, you know, I find that the next generation of horses, let's say for the next in Brisbane, let's say, you know, those types of horses are the ones that are just coming up now, you know, as young horses. And I think, you know, people are already going to start thinking about that. And, you know, it's very important that the young horses have a really good education. And when you do find and produce a good young horse, you know everything about them. Every little quirk that they have on the ground, in the ring. You know, when you buy an older horse, you know a little bit what you're getting per se. But I find that you could probably build a better partnership in the end when you can get a younger horse. And then, you know, you have all the little details about them in your brain for years. And then I think it really builds some special partnerships. And, you know, I think also you having your few homebreds now, I think is super exciting and probably really rewarding to watch them learn. And I don't know exactly what their breeding is, so I'd be curious to know. But did you ride the mares?
Yes, the mare was my Grand Prix horse, Zafir, which I would say would probably be my favorite horse that I've ridden. I had her for 5 years, and I went up through like the under 25 classes up to 4-star Grand Prix with her. And then my 7-year-old, who I've started from the beginning now, he jumped mostly clear rounds all through season. And like you said, now I know him like the back of my hand.
Exactly.
And he wasn't the easiest growing up. But all of a sudden, like halfway through his 6-year-old year, he really got it. And he's careful. He has all the ability. He's actually by Dolph, who is a stallion that you rode.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
There's also a NGP horse by the same stallion as well. I'm always curious to follow them.
They always said he was a little bit like spirited, but that's probably what made him careful in the end. He's sharp and
100%, and that's exactly how Dolph was as well. So
Yeah.
it's always fun to see the offspring similar to also then your mare, I guess, as well, because you
Yeah.
jump nice classes on her. As
Yeah,
well. So I'm
exactly.
sure you can see a lot of similarities in that.
I do. It's been, you kind of, the more you do with them, the more you start to see that and all the good qualities coming out. So I can't wait for the future with him.
Yeah, it's super exciting, and so cool that you already have 3 homebreds.
I know.
Jumping around and stuff. So
I know.
very exciting.
It's, yeah, for a second it feels like you don't have a lot of horses, and now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I have a nice string coming up, and
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, even if they're half as good as the mom, they'll, I'll be in good shape.
Exactly. Yeah. Very exciting.
Yeah.
What would you say is your biggest win or proudest moment of your career so far?
I would say kind of winning the medal finals was my first like really big moment. I think I was still kind of an underdog at that point, and I remember that moment, and I remember the feeling when they announced that I had won. I had tears, and it was kind of like everything that I had worked for came together in that moment. So that was, as a junior, I would say that was my biggest win, and now I think the most rewarding things have been, leaving a really good job where you have a lot of comfort, and starting on my own and developing these young horses. And the 6-year-old I bought, Timebreaker, he won the 6-year-old finals last year. And that was really rewarding on a horse I went and found myself in Europe and produced, and just to kind of say, I doing my own thing, working with these young horses, and have be rewarded with a win there was really exciting too.
Yeah, that's something really to be proud of, though, that you can say, especially now that you're doing your own business, that you can have these moments, all come together exactly how you envision them to.
And it's not always a win in a big class or something. It's the journey with them, and kind of, what you've accomplished on your own.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. That's, for me, I would say, my proudest moment would probably be in a similar sense to you. I left a nice job that I had in Belgium working for a big dealing stable. And, it was, you feel almost comfortable, like you said, you have good horses, go to nice shows and everything. But in the end, I just found that I knew there was more for me out there. And I knew that I was going to have to work really hard for it. So I made myself uncomfortable, made the move back home, and it's exactly what I want to be doing now. So for me, it gives me comfort knowing that I could, at the end of the day, think how proud I am of how much I've achieved in such a short amount of time, because it was stressful in the beginning. And, if I had said to myself I'd be where I am 6 months ago, I'd say you're crazy, and in the beginning, when you have just a few horses and stuff, it's hard to look at the long-term picture, but everything happens for a reason, and I like that. I like to keep that thinking that stays true.
Yes, exactly. And what was your biggest win?
I would say of my professional career, it would be winning my first 5-star Grand Prix in Spruce Meadows. Spruce is a show that I've always dreamt of going to, and then I went there for the first week, and then I thought I'll give it a go with my one horse. We had never both jumped a 5-star before. It's funny, we had actually jumped a 5-star Nations Cup before that for the first time, and that was technically our first week jumping a 5-star, but I didn't jump the Grand Prix that week because I wanted to save up for the Nations Cup. She performed really well there, and then that gave me a bit of a confidence boost to go then to Spruce Meadows and say, okay, I know the jumps are really big there. The course design is always tough, but it ended up working out, and it actually was only me and one other clear.
Yeah.
So
I remember watching that.
Yeah, I was last to go, and I had no idea what the other guy had done. All I know that he was clear. So I had a bit of a team behind me saying, you don't have to go so fast, but don't knock any rails down.
Right.
Guys, you're not winning this,
Yeah.
And like some people might say, oh, it's amazing just to get top 2, but
for sure. But you still want to win.
Yeah, I wanted to win it. I wasn't.
How old were you then?
I was 22 at the time.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
at such a young age.
It was really exciting, and it was definitely a very fulfilling moment as it was nice that a few doors got open for me afterwards. And then Robert Ridlin, the chef de keep, was kind enough to then put me on the team at the Spruce Meadows Masters at the Nations Cups, and that my eyes totally lit up during that. That was very
cool.
fulfilling moment for me. So I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, you should be, for sure. And what would be one of your hardest moments?
I would say within the past few years, my hardest moment would be last year, actually. I ended up breaking my collarbone and had surgery. I did not recover very well from the surgery. It took a lot of time for me. And, I'd spoken to a few other people that had similar surgery than me and stuff. And, I was jumping at a show 2 weeks after, or, I was riding and within a month, and for me, it wasn't the case at all. So it was really, really hard for me to keep the motivation and really want to keep going because, I was so down with myself and I was so upset that I couldn't keep going. And, I was really frustrated with how my shoulder was doing because, it felt like I was going 2 steps forward and then 5 steps back with my physical therapy and stuff like this. So, and just before that I had the injury as well, I was supposed to get quite a few really good horses sent to me as well.
Right.
So it was just bad timing, and obviously everything happens for a reason. And then just a few short months after that, then I decided to start on my own. So I was definitely thinking of different things in my head during that time, and that's how I kind of came up with then starting on my own, which ended up almost working out better for me than my job in Belgium as well. So
perfect. Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly.
But it is hard. It's whenever you're sidelined, you have so much time to think, and you always wish you could be riding and doing everything. But I guess it does happen to everybody at some point, and you have to be able to just be patient, and good things will come. You'll have your time.
And do you have a toughest moment of your career so far professionally?
I guess I've had a few injuries too. I broke my ankle once when I had like 2 really good horses that I was jumping like 4 and 5 star on at that moment. I broke my ankle and had a long break, and that it's always hard to come back from something like that and to sit still and be on the sidelines.
Especially when you have 2 good horses like you had at that time as well. It can be really frustrating.
It's very frustrating. And a year ago, I broke my back. In the summer too, just something stupid. I was walking and the horse like scooted away. It was always something simple. And
it's always like that, isn't it?
Yes. And that it was especially hard when I had started my own business. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm not on a salary anymore. I have to like ride to make money. And but you always have people that take care of you, and you have a good team around you, and they'll make sure you're okay.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. What are 3 things that you always travel to our show with?
My dog.
Yes.
My show coat. I've forgotten that a few times.
That happens.
And then I guess just a positive attitude and just...
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's what I would say. How about you?
My dog also. I don't go anywhere without him now. My dog, you make sure I bring a few show coats usually.
Same, yeah.
So I have some options.
Exactly.
And then I guess I always try to bring a few extra things, like a few different bits, a few different options in case
you never know what you're going to need.
Exactly. You might change your mind, want to try something new.
Yeah. What was your favorite horse you've ever ridden and why?
I would probably say my mare Zafir. She was kind of the one she had a bad x-ray, so I got to buy her for not a lot of money, and I started in the U25 classes. I think the first season I had her, she jumped clear in 5 of the 6 U25 Grand Prix, and then I went on to jump her for 5 years up to 4 stars, and then now I have 3 babies by her, so I feel like they're kind of like, she's living out through them. So we have a special bond in that way. Probably I had a few, like my equitation horse Podest that I won the Medal of Maclay on, and there's always a few special ones, but I think that probably that mare would be the one. What about you?
Probably my mare Casmona. She definitely gave me the most learning experiences, but also the most success. So I definitely have to give a lot of credit to that horse because, there was a time before I had her that nobody was believing in her. She wasn't really getting any results, and she was always a little bit pushed behind the other horse from the owner called Carollo. So at that time, she was really just a bit looked past. And then everybody started to realize what she could do. I think it just takes the right partnership at that point.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
Do you have any pre-ride song or routine?
I don't really.
No.
I feel like I don't have time for that. I'm going, we go. And
That's probably super accurate.
yeah, I don't have time to have a ritual, really.
If I do have any ritual, if it's like a night class or something, and I do manage to have time before, I'll just do some yoga. Like, just try to relax myself.
Yeah.
Because if I kind of sit around, and even if I start to watch most of the class, I just get too stressed.
Yeah.
So I'll just like go and find a quiet place away from everybody and just do some yoga poses.
Yeah. I think I always try to find just like a quiet moment by myself and, not have too much noise. Just have a minute to like breathe and think with a quiet mind.
Exactly. Yeah. It was the best way to do it.
Yeah. Do you have any superstitions?
If I wear a certain color sock and I've done really well that week and I want to have another really good result, I'll have to wear the same color sock. That's fine. How about yours?
I kind of like, for a Grand Prix, I'll wear like the same shirt, belt, sort of like jacket combination a lot. I've tried to make myself less superstitious. When I was a junior, for all the equitation finals, I wore like the same hoodie in the morning, the same, like, I used to be crazy about it. Now I've tried to like make myself be like, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Let's chill out now.
Chill out about it. Exactly.
And I asked you your favorite horse show in Europe earlier, but I would love to know which one is your favorite in America.
There's so many nice ones. I'd say, okay, we have one of the best facilities in the world here in Wellington. I think that Upperville was another one that I really love in America. I hadn't been for a while, and we went back last summer, and there's so much history there. The ring is incredible, and the hospitality there is amazing. So I really enjoyed doing that again.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think mine would be Wellington. I just think it's really hard to top it. And, I come from Chicago, but I've called Wellington home for so many years now. That's where I spend most of my time now. And it's just incredible that we have such an amazing facility just down the road.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And we get to, have our own houses and
exactly.
Kind of
feels like home. In the summertime, you're having to travel around a little bit further and stuff. And when you can just have a base and be able to say, you can go from the horse show every day back home into your house.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
It does. It really does.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of NGP's Trials and Tribulations series. I'm Rinaldi.
I'm Hayley Barnhill, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.